So you leave college, you end up moving into an apartment with another young comedian, Adam Sandler, and fast forward some, and your peers, your friends, whether that be Adam Sandler, Ben Stiller, Jim Carrey, they're all of a sudden becoming hugely successful, and you aren't yet. Mm-hmm. How are you handling that?
Well, Jim Carrey was the one that we all knew was the greatest.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, he was just such a genius, and we would watch him do stand-up, and it was always a matter of time till this thing exploded. And so I lived with Adam Sandler as a struggling young comedian, and Jim Carrey would pay me out of his own pocket to help him write In Living Color sketches and jokes for his stand-up. I couldn't get a job on In Living Color. I kept trying to get a job. They kept saying no. But Jim would pay me, and he would come over to my house, or I'd come over to his house, and then we would just write sketches to help him get on more. And then the Ben Stiller show got picked up by Fox. Ben and I, created this sketch show, and it lasted, a season, but that really launched everything that came afterwards. And I stopped doing stand-up comedy because I got very busy with Ben, and I couldn't balance it. And also everybody else was so funny, and I thought, I don't think I'm as funny as everybody on stage.
And that's what I was unsure of. Did you stop doing the stand-up comedy just because you were getting so many more writing, producing type gigs, or did you make a conscious decision to stop because you felt like your peers were better?
Well, it was both. I just thought the universe is steering me away from this. The universe keeps giving me jobs that don't allow me to go on the road and do stand-up. I keep getting these writing opportunities and these producing opportunities, and then at some point, I couldn't go to a club at night because we were editing the Ben Stiller show, and at that time I thought, yeah, I'm not as good as Sandler, I'm not as good as Jim Carrey, and maybe this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. Now I do it again. But I also feel like I have more life experience. I was very young. I was in my early 20s. So I didn't really have anything to talk about. It's the truth. And I wasn't weird. I didn't have a weird point of view. So without experience and things to tell people or anecdotes, it was pretty thin. Even though I did well and was on the Young Comedian special and would do talk shows, it was still pretty weak.
The late Gary Shandling said about you, quote, "He's taken every situation in life that's left him internally marked, and now he's using it creatively." Your thoughts on that?
I think that everybody, should be doing that. I mean, that's really the job, in a way, is to just look at what's happening, good and bad, and try to turn it into some sort of creativity or use it in storytelling or stand-up in some way. I never got discouraged because I always thought, I can't believe I'm allowed to do any of this. I can't believe I'm in comedy and that I'm in show business. So even when shows would get canceled or, I would have a bad stand-up show or a movie would bomb, all I cared about was that I was allowed to do the next one. I just don't want to get kicked out of show business. So to me, it's always been fun.
And you always knew you would be, you've said this before, you always knew you would be successful, you just knew it would come a little later on.
Well, I always knew that I was going to hang in there. Okay, yeah. I mean, I didn't know what would ultimately come of any of this. But for me, it was more about being in it than I must achieve this or that. I always wanted to be as good as everybody else. I always wanted to figure out how to be a better comedian, how to be a better writer or director or filmmaker. But I didn't have any lofty goals beyond, I'd like to, be strong at these things.